Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, yet another video covering the Steam Winter Sale 2017, and this video is going to be a fun little video where I take a look at 10 great game deals that any potato can run. These games are super easy to run. Even if you're on an older laptop, chances are you'll be able to play these games. Just in case, I will go through the system requirements for those of you that think your specs might not be in line to run any of these games, but I highly doubt that. If you were on a desktop that came out in the last 5 to 7 years, you're probably going to be good. Just make sure you check your system requirements real quick. That's super simple to do, but yeah, I think most of you guys are going to be able to run these games no problem. And with these 10 games, since chances are if you have a potato PC, you're probably also on a pretty tight budget. All of these games come in at less than $5, some less than $3, so they are extremely cheap games. Games that you can buy if you have a couple of Steam trading cards and you just sell those on the marketplace. But yeah, nonetheless, let's get right into this. The first game on this list is Rogue Legacy, which is 80% off down to $2.99. Rogue Legacy is a roguelike game that's pretty difficult, but it's also a very fun 2D action platforming game. This was a game that was received incredibly well. It was a big game on Twitch for a while. At this point, it is a little bit of an older title. It released 4 years ago, but still a very fun game. And as far as the system requirements go, I'm just gonna go over the minimum requirements. You're looking at a 1.6 gigahertz processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, DirectX 9 capable graphics, and 400 megabytes of hard drive space. So pretty easy to run. The recommended requirements are a little bit higher, but I won't even cover that. But yeah, Rogue Legacy for $3, it's a pretty solid deal. Moving right along, HalfLife, the complete collection, is 93% off for $4.48. So what you get with this is Team Fortress Classic, Half-Life Opposing Force, Half-Life, Half-Life Blue Shift, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 1 Source, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. A lot of great games here, and you can pretty much throw in every other Valve title being easy to run. Even games like Left 4 Dead 2 and Portal 2 are pretty easy to run, and they're very cheap as well. I just put in the Half-Life Complete Bundle because this is an insane deal. You get all that 93% off for just $4.48. I'm not gonna go over the system requirements for everything, but to give you an idea of how hard it is to run Half-Life 2 Episode 2, you're looking at a 1.7 gigahertz processor, 512 megabytes of RAM, and DirectX 8.1 capable graphics. So yes, super easy to run on that front, and Half-Life, obviously one of the most iconic franchises ever. We're never gonna get a Half-Life 3, but still these games are worthwhile playing. Next up, we've got Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number, which is 75% off down to $3.74. This is the follow-up to Hotline Miami, which was one of the best indie-style games that I've played in recent memory, and then Hotline Miami 2 is just a better game. I love the art style to Hotline Miami. Maybe it's because I like that retro style, but I think it's very appealing. It is a rather difficult game, but I find it very engaging as well. As far as system requirements go, this is one of the higher-end games on this list. You're looking at a 2.4 gigahertz Intel Core 2 Duo or better, 1 gigabyte of RAM, DirectX 9 capable graphics, and a whopping 600 megabytes of available storage space, so that is a little high, comparatively speaking, to the other titles. And by the way, if you don't own Hotline Miami 1, you can pick up the combo pack. That's 75% off, and it does come in at $4.99. That's well worth it. So yeah, not a bad option there, and if you just want to get the first game, that is 75% off for $2.50. Next up, this is one of the games that I personally had to mention, and that is This Is the Police. 67% off for $4.94. This game was released back in 2016. Didn't garner much fanfare, but I feel like the people that did play it really enjoyed This Is the Police. And what it is a strategy adventure game set in a city going down the drain. You take the role of a gritty police officer, and you dive into a story of crime. Your mission is to make $500,000 in 180 days before Jack Boyd, the main character, reaches retirement. How you do so is up to you. It's a very interesting game with an awesome art style. Now, this is mainly a story-driven strategy management type of game, so it's light on the gameplay elements, but it's a game I highly recommend you to check out. Again, just like Hotline Miami 2, this is probably the most difficult to run game on this list. You'll require a dual-core CPU, 2 gigabytes of RAM, DirectX 9 capable graphics, and 5 gigabytes of hard drive space. You'll be fine with like Intel HD 3000 or something equivalent to that. But yeah, $4.94 is an excellent deal for a game that went really under the radar. Next up, we have a game that I always like to recommend, and that is Bastion, which is 75% off, down to $3.74. This is probably one of the most iconic independent games of all time. It's not really even an indie game. It was published by Warner Brothers, but it's got that indie style presentation. You get the idea. And Bastion is just an incredible game with an awesome soundtrack, great artistic direction. This is one of those games that, while technically isn't amazing, it doesn't set a technical benchmark for gaming, but when you look at the game in terms of art direction, it is just incredible. And then the gameplay and storytelling is really solid too. I feel like this is one of the must-play games, not just indie games, not just games that are easy to run, just games in general. It is a great experience, and it's 75% off for just $3.74. And by the way, this game does come from a studio known as Supergiant Games, and they've created some other excellent games. They released Transistor a few years back, and earlier this year they put out Pyre, both also fantastic games, a little bit more expensive. I would start out with Bastion as far as games from them. As far as system requirements go, you're looking at a 1.7 GHz dual-core processor, 2 GB of RAM, 1 GB of hard drive space, and DirectX 9 capable graphics. Bastion also does have a soundtrack edition that's 75% off for $6.24. The game does have an incredible soundtrack, but I don't know if you guys want to pay extra for that. And then Supergiant Games does have a complete bundle from them. You get Bastion, Bastion soundtrack, Transistor, Transistor soundtrack, Pyre, and Pyre soundtrack. That is $25.82. Kind of expensive, but I thought I would give that a mention as well. Next up is another game that I always like to go to bat for, and that is Outland, which is 85% off for just $1.50. And guys, this game is absolutely awesome. It's made by a studio known as Housemarque. Housemarque are probably one of the most underrated studios in game development. They've created some incredible games, a lot of PlayStation downloadable titles such as Super Stardust HD, Dead Nation, and a game called Resogun, which many would say was the best PlayStation 4 launch title. They worked on Outland a few years ago. It released on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and then later it got a stealth release on PC back in 2014, and this is an awesome game. Once again, just like Bastion, great art direction, and gameplay, it's gonna be up a lot of your guys' alley. It's actually like a Metroidvania style game. It's got great 2D platforming gameplay and just a fantastic game. As far as system requirements go, minimum requirements, you're looking at an Intel Core 2 Duo 2 GHz or an AMD Athlon 64X2, 2 GB of RAM, DirectX 9 capable graphics, 650 MB of available storage space at just $1.50. Outland is an excellent game to pick up. It was a game that Housemarque was giving away for absolutely free a little while ago, but that has since ended. Still, it's very much worth the cheap price that you're getting it for. Next up, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which is 80% off, down to $3. Another fantastic game. This is very much an emotionally gripping game. I think this is one of the most emotionally gripping games that I've ever played, on par with, say, games like the Walking Dead Telltale series. And it's a very engrossing game where you guide two brothers on an epic journey. As far as system requirements go, you're looking at a 2.4 GHz dual-core processor, 2 GB of RAM, DirectX 9 capable graphics. This is a game that I would highly recommend to play with a controller. It's just much more enjoyable that way, but 80% off for $3, that's an awesome deal. Next up, we've got Dust and Elysian Tale, 75% off for $3.74. I would have liked to see this a little bit cheaper. It released a long time ago, back in May of 2013, but honestly, that's just me being nitpicky. I mean, Bastion released a while ago, and it's 75% off, so it's not a big deal. But Dust and Elysian Tale is a tremendous action platformer, and this is another game with a fantastic art style. It's got a gorgeous hand-painted world design, and once again, you've got fantastic platforming gameplay with some RPG elements in there as well. Great music. And as far as system requirements go, you're looking at an Intel Core 2 Duo 2.8 GHz, 1 GB of RAM, DirectX 10 capable graphics, and 1.5 GB of hard drive space. This is a game that you can play with keyboard and mouse, but I personally also prefer this with a controller. Either way, it's a great game. $3.74 is a great pickup for that. Next up, I had to mention a game for my wee brothers out there, and that is Ys the Othon Felghana, 70% off for $4.50. Ys is one of the most underrated JRPG franchises. Is it absolutely amazing? No, but it is one of the most consistent JRPG franchises you're gonna come around. There are so many games in the franchise, and they're all relatively good. They've got great soundtracks, solid action-based gameplay, and decent storytelling. As far as system requirements go, you're looking at a Pentium 3 at 800 MHz, 1 GB of RAM, 32 MB of VRAM, DirectX 8, and 1 GB of hard drive space. This was a game that was originally released on the PSP, so you get an idea of how easy this game is to run. I think it might have been released on a different platform even before that. I don't know the exact Ys lineage off the top of my head, but if you're a fan of Japanese RPGs, it's 70% off for $4.50, a pretty solid pickup there. And finally, the last game on this list is going to be SteamWorld Dig, 80% off for $2. This is an awesome game. It's a platform mining adventure game with, once again, strong Metroidvania influences. SteamWorld Dig has been gaining some attention recently because of the sequel, SteamWorld Dig 2. That game is absolutely phenomenal, but it is a little bit more expensive at $13, but it is a tremendous game and it is much better than the first game. However, if you want to stay on the cheaper side, the first game is still worthwhile playing and it's just $2. And as far as system requirements go, you're looking at a 2 GHz processor, 512 megabytes of RAM, OpenGL 2.1 compatible, and 384 megabytes of video memory. Don't worry about that. And just 193 megabytes of available storage space. So definitely give SteamWorld Dig a look. You'll probably enjoy it to the point where you want to buy SteamWorld Dig 2 after. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know if you check any of these games out. And if you have a request for me to cover a different genre, different budget bundle of games like I did yesterday, just let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.